My name is Estelle Thompson, and I'm 62 years old. Life has been peaceful since Harold passed away 3 years ago. I've settled into a comfortable routine in my small two-bedroom home with its lovely garden. My son Andrew was the light of my life. We were so close before he married Jennifer. Everything changed with one phone call last Tuesday. Andrew wanted to move in with me. Little did I know what would unfold after I answered that call. Before I continue with what happened next, let me know where you're watching from in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to hear more stories like mine. I've always been proud of my little house. It's not fancy by any means, but it's mine. Paid off completely thanks to Harold's life insurance and our careful saving over 40 years of marriage. It has a cozy living room with family photos covering the walls, a kitchen where I still make Harold's favorite apple pie every Sunday, and a small backyard garden where I grow tomatoes and zucchini in the summer. Harold and I met when we were both 19 working summer jobs at the local library. He was shelving books and I was cataloging returns. We married 2 years later in a simple ceremony at my parents' farm. Andrew came along 3 years after that, our only child, but he filled our lives with so much joy that we never felt we needed more children. From the moment Andrew was born, he was a mama's boy. Harold used to joke that the umbilical cord was never truly cut. Andrew would follow me around the house as a toddler, helping me bake cookies or fold laundry. As he grew older, we remained close. Every Sunday, even when he was in college, he'd call me without fail. When Harold had his first heart attack 12 years ago, Andrew drove 6 hours straight to be by my side at the hospital. I taught fourth grade at Lincoln Elementary for 35 years before retiring. Now my days are filled with gardening book club meetings every Wednesday with 4 other retired teachers volunteering at the community center twice a week and occasionally babysitting for my neighbors' grandchildren. It's a simple life, but it brings me contentment. Everything changed when Andrew met Jennifer 8 years ago. He was 34, established in his career as a financial analyst at a respected firm. Jennifer was 26, working as a personal shopper at an upscale department store. She was stunningly beautiful with long blonde hair and perfect makeup. The first time Andrew brought her to Sunday dinner, she arrived in a dress that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. "Mom, this is Jennifer," Andrew said, his eyes never leaving her face. I could see he was completely smitten. "It's lovely to meet you, Jennifer," I said, extending my hand. "Andrew has told me so much about you." "Charmed," she replied briefly, touching my hand. Her eyes scanned my modest living room, lingering on the outdated floral sofa Harold and I had purchased 20 years ago. Throughout dinner, Jennifer spoke almost exclusively about designer brands I'd never heard of and vacations to places I'd only seen in magazines. Andrew watched her with adoration, laughing at all her jokes and agreeing with everything she said. I noticed how she barely touched the pot roast I'd spent hours preparing. "This is quaint," she said, gesturing to my home-cooked meal. "I usually prefer to dine at Costello's downtown. Their chef trained in Paris." Despite my reservations, I wanted to support Andrew's happiness. When they announced their engagement 6 months later, I threw them an engagement party in my backyard. Jennifer seemed disappointed by the simple decorations and homemade food, but Andrew assured me later that she had a wonderful time. Their wedding was anything but simple. Jennifer's parents had divorced when she was young, and neither was willing to contribute much financially, so Andrew paid for most of the extravagant affair. The venue was a historic mansion with marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Jennifer's dress was custom-made by a designer whose name I couldn't pronounce. The 5-tier cake cost more than my first car. Throughout the reception, I couldn't help but worry about how much debt they were accumulating to start their marriage. After the wedding, I saw less and less of Andrew. When they did visit, Jennifer would often make comments about my outdated home or simple lifestyle. She would show up wearing new jewelry or designer clothes, eagerly describing how exclusive and expensive each item was. "You should see our new dining table, Estelle," Jennifer said during one visit. "It's imported Italian marble. Andrew surprised me with it for our 6-month anniversary." I glanced at Andrew, noticing the tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. "That sounds lovely," I replied, wondering how much it had cost and whether they could really afford such luxuries. Andrew had mentioned casually that they were carrying some credit card debt, but quickly changed the subject when I expressed concern. Despite my misgivings about Jennifer's spending habits, I tried to maintain a good relationship with her for Andrew's sake. I invited them for dinner regularly, remembered her birthday with thoughtful gifts, and never criticized her choices openly. I wanted to be the kind of mother-in-law I wished I'd had when I married Harold. Then came the phone call that would change everything. "Mom," Andrew's voice was filled with excitement. "We found our dream house. It's in Oakwood Heights. We're signing the papers next week." Oakwood Heights was the most exclusive neighborhood in our city, known for its multi-million-dollar homes and wealthy residents. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," I said, trying to match his enthusiasm while tamping down my concern. "How did you manage that?" "I got a bonus at work," he said quickly. "And the bank approved our mortgage. Jennifer's thrilled. We want you to come see it after we close." I hung up the phone with a sense of foreboding. Andrew had a good job, but Oakwood Heights was well beyond what a financial analyst should reasonably afford. Still, I told myself perhaps he really did get a substantial bonus. Or maybe Jennifer's shopping habit wasn't as bad as I feared, and they had been saving diligently. I wanted to believe that my son was making sound financial decisions. After all, that's what Harold and I had taught him throughout his childhood. We'd opened his first savings account when he was 5 years old, adding to it every birthday and Christmas. We'd helped him apply for scholarships for college and taught him the importance of living within his means. But the nagging worry remained as I marked my calendar for the house tour the following month. Little did I know that visit would be the beginning of a nightmare that would test the bonds of family love and forgiveness. The day I first visited Andrew and Jennifer's new house in Oakwood Heights, my jaw nearly dropped to the floor. It was a sprawling 4-bedroom colonial with white columns framing the entrance, a circular driveway with a fountain and professionally landscaped gardens. It looked like something from a magazine spread, not a home for a young couple just starting out. "Welcome to our humble abode," Jennifer said with a smirk as she opened the massive front door. She was wearing diamond earrings that caught the light and a silk blouse that probably cost more than my monthly pension. The interior was even more impressive than the exterior. Soaring ceilings, marble floors in the entryway, a grand staircase, and furniture that still had price tags attached. All of it screamed money. Lots of money. "This is the formal living room," Jennifer said, leading me into a space with cream-colored sofas and abstract art on the walls. "The coffee table is handcrafted in Italy. It cost $11,000, but it's an investment piece." I nodded politely, searching Andrew's face for any sign of financial strain. He smiled, but I noticed dark circles under his eyes that hadn't been there before. The tour continued through room after room of luxury. A chef's kitchen with appliances I didn't know how to operate. A home theater with reclining leather seats. A primary bedroom suite larger than my entire first floor, complete with a bathroom featuring a soaking tub that could fit 4 people. "And this is my closet," Jennifer announced proudly, opening double doors to reveal a room bigger than my bedroom filled with clothes still bearing tags. Shelves displayed dozens of designer handbags and at least 60 pairs of shoes arranged by color. Andrew had it custom built for me as a housewarming gift. I caught Andrew's eye over Jennifer's shoulder. He quickly looked away, his jaw tightening slightly. "It's all very impressive," I managed, feeling increasingly uncomfortable. "How many square feet is this place?" 6,000, Jennifer replied. "But we're already planning an addition for a home gym and spa area. The contractor is starting next month." Over lunch at their massive dining table, I attempted to gently probe their financial situation. "This must have been quite an investment," I said carefully. "The mortgage payments must be substantial." Before Andrew could answer, Jennifer cut in. "We deserve the best, don't we, honey? Andrew works so hard." She placed her hand over his and squeezed a bit too tightly. "Besides, real estate in this neighborhood only appreciates. It's practically making us money." Andrew nodded, but I noticed he barely touched his food and kept checking his phone nervously. When Jennifer excused herself to take a call from her interior design consultant, I seized the opportunity to speak privately with my son. "Andrew," I said quietly, "is everything okay financially? This is a lot of house, and Jennifer seems to be spending quite freely." His smile faltered. "It's fine, Mom. I got that promotion, remember? And Jennifer's starting her own fashion consulting business soon." He glanced toward the hallway where Jennifer had disappeared. "It's tight right now, but it'll work out. I've got investments." Something in his tone didn't convince me, but before I could press further, Jennifer returned chatting animatedly about the custom drapes she was ordering from France. As the months passed, my contact with Andrew dwindled. Our weekly calls became monthly, then sporadic. When we did speak, Jennifer was always in the background, often interrupting or taking the phone from him to tell me about their latest purchase or renovation. Through mutual friends, I began hearing concerning stories. Andrew and Jennifer had hosted an extravagant housewarming party with catered food, a live band, and gift bags for guests containing expensive champagne and gourmet chocolates. They joined the exclusive Oakwood Country Club with its five-figure initiation fee. Jennifer was seen shopping at high-end boutiques several times a week, always leaving with multiple bags. My friend Grace, who worked at the bank where Andrew and Jennifer had their accounts, couldn't share specific details due to confidentiality rules, but her concerned expression when I mentioned their names told me everything I needed to know. For the first time in his life, Andrew missed my birthday. When I called him, Jennifer answered. "Oh, we're so sorry, Estelle," she said, not sounding sorry at all. "We're actually in Paris right now. Andrew surprised me with a shopping trip for our anniversary. The boutiques here are simply divine." I could hear street noise in the background and someone speaking French. "Could I talk to him, please?" I asked. "He's in the shower right now," Jennifer replied quickly. "We're heading to dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant in an hour. I'll have him call you tomorrow." He never called back. 3 months of near silence followed. I sent text messages that received brief replies days later. I left voicemails that went unreturned. I even drove by their house once, but the gates were closed and no one answered the intercom. Then, on a rainy Tuesday evening, my phone rang. It was Andrew's number. "Andrew," I answered eagerly. "Is that you?" "Mom?" he said, his voice cracking slightly. "We need to talk. Can I come over tomorrow?" The tone of his voice sent ice through my veins. Something was very wrong. "Of course," I replied. "What's going on? Are you okay?" There was a long pause, then a deep sigh. "No, Mom, I'm not okay. Not at all. I'll explain everything tomorrow." After we hung up, I sat in my rocking chair, the same one I'd nursed Andrew in as a baby, and stared at the phone. The sense of foreboding that had been building for months suddenly felt overwhelming. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, Andrew arrived alone at my house looking like a shell of the confident man I'd raised. His clothes were wrinkled, his hair uncombed, and the dark circles under his eyes had deepened to purple bruises. "Andrew," I gasped, pulling him into a hug. "What's happened to you?" He collapsed onto my couch, burying his face in his hands. When he finally looked up, I was alarmed to see tears in his eyes. "I've made a terrible mistake, Mom," he whispered. "Several mistakes, actually. I don't even know where to begin." I sat beside him, taking his trembling hands in mine. "Start from the beginning. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together." The story he told made my blood run cold. "We've sold the house," he began. "We had to. The mortgage payments were killing us, and the credit card debt was out of control." "Sold it already?" I asked, shocked. They'd only lived there for 18 months. Andrew nodded miserably. "We closed last week. Got $750,000 in equity after paying off the mortgage. It should have been our chance to start over, get a reasonable place, pay off debts." "Should have been," I repeated, already dreading what was coming next. "Jennifer," he said, his voice breaking. She got access to the money before I could set aside what we needed for debt repayment. Said she needed to secure some investment pieces before they sold out." He laughed bitterly. "Designer handbags, jewelry, first-class tickets to Milan for a shopping trip, a deposit on a custom sports car." I struggled to comprehend the magnitude of what he was saying. "How much did she spend, Andrew?" He couldn't meet my eyes. "All of it, Mom. $750,000. Gone in 3 weeks." The room seemed to spin around me. "All of it, but how will you pay your debts? Where are you living now?" "We're in a hotel right now," he admitted. "We have about 2 weeks before that money runs out, too. The credit card companies are calling daily. I've maxed out every card-taken personal loans. I'm over $400,000 in debt, not counting the hotel bills that keep accumulating." "Oh, Andrew," I whispered, my heart breaking for my son. How did this happen? The story unfolded like a nightmare. From the beginning, Jennifer had pushed for a lifestyle they couldn't afford. Andrew, desperate to keep her happy, had signed for loans he couldn't repay, maxed out credit cards, even borrowed from colleagues. When they bought the house, they'd stretched far beyond their means, counting on bonuses and raises that never materialized. "I've lost my job too," he confessed, tears streaming down his face. "3 weeks ago, I couldn't concentrate, kept making mistakes. Jennifer doesn't know yet. I've been pretending to go to work every day." "And she still doesn't understand the situation?" I asked incredulously. Andrew shook his head. "She thinks we're just having a temporary cash flow issue. When I try to talk to her about cutting back, she gets angry, says I'm not ambitious enough, that I'm trying to deprive her of the life she deserves." I took a deep breath, trying to process everything. "What's your plan now, son?" He looked up at me with desperate eyes. "That's why I'm here, Mom. We need a place to stay until I can find another job and start rebuilding. I thought maybe we could stay here with you, just temporarily." The request hit me like a physical blow. My house had only 2 bedrooms. My pension barely covered my own modest expenses, and the thought of Jennifer with her extravagant habits and disdain for my simple lifestyle living under my roof. "Andrew," I said gently, "you know I love you, and I want to help, but I don't think that would work." His face fell. "Mom, we have nowhere else to go." "I understand that, but my house is tiny. There's barely room for me, let alone 2 additional adults. And frankly, I'm concerned about Jennifer's spending habits. I can't have someone living here who might put my financial stability at risk." "She wouldn't," he began, then stopped himself knowing it wasn't true. "What about Jennifer's parents?" I suggested. "Could they help?" He shook his head. "They're both remarried with new families. They've made it clear they won't bail her out again." "Again?" I raised an eyebrow. Andrew sighed. "She's done this before, apparently. Ran up massive debt in college. Her parents paid it off, but told her that was it." This new information only strengthened my resolve. "I'm sorry, Andrew. I can't let you both move in, but I can help in other ways. I could loan you a small amount to secure an apartment. I could help you find financial counseling." "Mom, please," he begged, desperation in his voice. "Just for a month or 2. Jennifer and I are talking about marriage counseling. She'll understand once I explain everything." "Andrew, the answer is no," I said firmly. "I love you, but I have to set this boundary." His face hardened slightly. "Jennifer said you'd react this way. She said you've never accepted her." I felt a flash of anger. "This isn't about accepting Jennifer. This is about making responsible decisions." "We're family," he insisted. "Family helps each other." "Yes, they do," I agreed, "but enabling destructive behavior isn't helping. If you want to stay here alone while you get back on your feet, we can discuss that, but I cannot and will not house both of you." Andrew stood abruptly. "I need to think about this. I'll call you later." As I watched him walk to his car, shoulders slumped in defeat, my heart ached. But something told me I had made the right decision, as painful as it was. The phone call came that evening. Andrew's voice was strange, distant. "Jennifer wants to talk to you," he said flatly. Before I could respond, Jennifer's shrill voice filled my ear. "How dare you turn your back on your own son?" she spat. "After everything he's done for you." "Jennifer," I began calmly, "I understand you're upset." "You don't understand anything," she shrieked. "You're just a jealous old woman who can't stand to see her son happy with someone else." The verbal assault continued as she hurled insults and accusations. She claimed I had never given her a chance, that I undermined her relationship with Andrew, that I was selfish and heartless. "You have a whole house to yourself," she railed. "We just need one room that you probably never even use." "Jennifer, this conversation isn't productive," I said firmly. "I've made my decision. I'm happy to help in other ways." "We don't need your charity," she screamed. "We need a place to stay. Andrew told me he's given you money over the years. Now it's time for you to repay him." This was news to me. "What money, Jennifer?" There was a pause, then a muffled conversation I couldn't make out. Finally, Andrew came back on the line. "Mom," he said, sounding defeated, "we're coming over tomorrow to discuss this in person. This isn't something to decide over the phone." Before I could object, the line went dead. I sat in stunned silence, my mind racing. I'd never heard Jennifer speak that way before, though I'd suspected the sweetness she occasionally showed me was an act. But more troubling was the claim about money. Had Andrew been giving me money I didn't know about? Or was this another of Jennifer's manipulations that night I barely slept, torn between my love for my son and my instinct for self-preservation? By morning, I had made up my mind. I would stand firm in my refusal, but offer Andrew, and only Andrew, temporary shelter while he sorted out his life. What I didn't expect was the storm that would descend upon my quiet home the next day. I was watering my garden when they arrived. 2 luxury suitcases and 3 shopping bags with designer logos sat in the back seat of their leased BMW. My stomach tightened at the sight. They weren't coming to talk. They were coming to move in regardless of my answer. I met them at the door, still wearing my gardening apron soil under my fingernails. Jennifer looked me up and down with disdain, her perfectly manicured hand clutching a designer handbag that probably cost more than my monthly pension. "Estelle," she said coolly, brushing past me into the house without waiting for an invitation. Andrew followed, giving me an apologetic look that did nothing to ease my growing anxiety. "Hi, Mom. Thanks for seeing us." I closed the door behind them, taking a deep breath to steady myself. "I thought we were going to discuss this further, not that you were moving in today." Jennifer had already settled herself on my couch, her expensive perfume filling the small living room. "We checked out of the hotel this morning. Their rates are highway robbery." The irony of this statement coming from someone who had blown through $750,000 in 3 weeks was apparently lost on her. Andrew stood awkwardly in the middle of the room, caught between his wife and his mother. "Mom, please. We really need this. It's just temporary." I sat down in Harold's old recliner facing them both. "I've given this a lot of thought, Andrew. I cannot have both of you living here. My house is too small, and frankly, I have serious concerns about Jennifer's financial habits." Jennifer's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Excuse me, what exactly are you implying?" "I'm not implying anything," I said evenly. "I'm stating facts. You spent $750,000 in 3 weeks. Andrew is now in crippling debt. I'm a retired teacher on a fixed income. I can't risk my financial security." "This is unbelievable," Jennifer scoffed, looking at Andrew. Are you going to let her talk to me like this?" Andrew swallowed hard, his eyes darting between us. "Mom, I think you're being unfair. Jennifer didn't mean to cause problems. She just has certain expectations about lifestyle." "Expectations that have bankrupted you," I pointed out. "Andrew, I love you and I want to help. You can stay here while you get back on your feet, but Jennifer needs to find other arrangements." Jennifer shot to her feet, her face contorted with rage. "You spiteful old witch, you've always hated me. You've always been jealous of me and what I have with Andrew." "Jennifer, please," Andrew pleaded. "Let's stay calm." "No, I will not stay calm," she shouted. "Your mother is trying to separate us. Can't you see that she wants you all to herself?" I remained seated, refusing to match her volume. "That's not true, Jennifer. I want what's best for Andrew, and right now that means helping him regain his financial independence." "Best for Andrew?" She laughed bitterly. "You don't know what's best for him. I'm his wife." "And I'm his mother," I replied steadily. "I raised him to be responsible and honest, values that seem to have gotten lost recently." Jennifer took a step toward me, pointing an accusatory finger. "You think you're so perfect, don't you? Living in this pathetic little house with your pathetic little garden. You're just bitter because no one wants you anymore. Your husband is dead and your son has moved on." The cruelty of her words stung, but I maintained my composure. "I'm sorry you feel that way, Jennifer, but my answer remains the same. You cannot live here." "Mom," Andrew interrupted, his voice strained. "What if we agree to certain rules, budget constraints? We could contribute to groceries and utilities." "With what money, Andrew?" I asked gently. "You said yourself you've lost your job. You're in debt. And Jennifer has shown no willingness to change her spending habits." "I could get a job," he offered weakly. "And what about me?" Jennifer demanded. "Am I supposed to work at some minimum wage job? I have a certain image to maintain." I sighed heavily. That's exactly the attitude I'm concerned about, Jennifer. Life isn't about maintaining an image. It's about living within your means. "Don't you dare lecture me about life," she spat. "You know nothing about me or what I've been through." "I know that you've brought my son to financial ruin," I said, my patience wearing thin. "I know that you seem to care more about designer handbags than his well-being." That's when it happened. Jennifer lunged forward with surprising speed. Her hand connected with my cheek in a sharp, stinging slap that echoed through the small room. The force of it snapped my head to the side and brought instant tears to my eyes. For a moment, the room was frozen in shocked silence. My cheek burned where her rings had caught my skin. Andrew stood paralyzed, his mouth open in horror. Jennifer herself seemed momentarily stunned by her action before her face settled into smug satisfaction. "Jennifer?" Andrew finally gasped. "What have you done?" My hand went to my cheek, feeling the heat and the small trickle of blood where her diamond ring had cut the skin. Jennifer showed no remorse. She deserved it. No one speaks to me that way. I rose to my feet, trembling but determined. "Get out of my house. Both of you. Now." "Mom, she didn't mean it," Andrew began, finally moving toward me. "She's just upset." "Did you see what she just did, Andrew?" I asked, my voice quivering. "She assaulted me in my own home, and you're defending her." "I'm not defending." "Yes, you are." I cut him off. "You've been defending her behavior for years, making excuses, enabling her. And now it's come to this." I pointed to the door. "Leave now, or I'm calling the police." Jennifer grabbed her purse. "Fine. This dump isn't worth staying in anyway. Come on, Andrew." Andrew stood rooted to the spot torn between us. "Mom, please. You need to leave." I repeated, my voice stronger now. "When you're ready to accept help on my terms without Jennifer, you can call me." Jennifer stormed to the door, pausing to deliver one last barb. "This isn't over, Estelle. Andrew will realize what a manipulative bitch you are. And when he chooses me, and he will choose me, don't come crying to us when you're old and alone." The door slammed behind her with such force that a framed family photo fell from the wall and shattered. Andrew lingered, anguish written across his face. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I don't know what got into her. She's never done anything like this before." "Hasn't she?" I asked quietly. "Or have you just been making excuses for so long that you can't see the truth anymore?" He had no answer for that. "Go, Andrew," I said, suddenly exhausted. "Your wife is waiting." With one last agonized look, he left, closing the door gently behind him. I sank back into Harold's recliner, my hand still pressed to my stinging cheek, and finally allowed the tears to fall. Not just for the physical pain, but for the son I feared I had lost. After a few minutes, I went to the bathroom and examined my face in the mirror. A red handprint was clearly visible on my left cheek, and a small cut below my eye was still oozing blood. It would likely bruise by morning. With shaking hands, I reached for my phone and dialed a number I hadn't called in months. "Patricia, it's Estelle. I need your help, both as my friend and as my lawyer." Patricia Goldstein and I had been friends for over 40 years. We'd taught at the same school until she left education to pursue law in her 40s. Now semi-retired, she specialized in family law and elder issues. She arrived at my house 30 minutes after my call, her gray hair pulled back in its usual practical bun, carrying both a first aid kit and her briefcase. "Oh, Estelle," she gasped when she saw my face. "Let me clean that cut." As she gently dabbed antiseptic on the small wound, I told her everything. The house, the money, the debt, and finally the assault. "We need to document this," she said firmly, taking out her phone. "I'm going to take pictures of your injury. It's already starting to bruise." After photographing my face from multiple angles, she sat across from me at the kitchen table and opened her briefcase. "I want to be clear about what you want here, Estelle," she said. "Are you looking to press charges for assault? Do you want a restraining order? Both?" I hadn't thought that far ahead. I just want to feel safe in my own home, and I want to protect myself, financially and physically. Patricia nodded, taking notes. "Given what you've told me, I'd recommend both. The assault is clear-cut. We have photographic evidence and your testimony. A restraining order would legally bar Jennifer from approaching you or your property." "And Andrew?" I asked, my voice catching. "Would it apply to him too?" She gave me a sympathetic look. "That's up to you. Based on what you've described, he didn't participate in the assault, but he also didn't intervene to protect you. We could file it against Jennifer only, or against both of them." The thought of legally barring my own son from seeing me was almost unbearable, but the memory of him standing by paralyzed while his wife struck me. "Let's start with just Jennifer," I decided. I want Andrew to know my door is open to him, alone, if he ever decides to leave her. As Patricia continued explaining the legal process, I remembered something worrying. Patricia, Andrew has a key to my house. Harold and I gave it to him years ago for emergencies. Her expression turned serious. We should address that immediately. I'd recommend changing your locks today. I can call my son-in-law. He's a locksmith. He could be here within the hour. While we waited for the locksmith, Patricia helped me document everything. The visit, the conversation, the assault. She even took photos of the broken picture frame to corroborate the force with which Jennifer had slammed the door. I should warn you, Patricia said as she finished her notes. Jennifer sounds like someone who retaliates. Once she's served with legal papers, she may escalate. As if on cue, my phone chimed with a text message from an unknown number. You'll regret this, you interfering old hag. Nobody comes between me and what's mine. I showed the message to Patricia, who immediately added it to her notes. Save that, she advised. Any threats or harassment will strengthen our case. The locksmith arrived and quickly replaced my locks, providing me with new keys and adding a deadbolt for extra security. Patricia suggested I consider a simple security system as well, and we scheduled an installation for the following week. As evening approached, Patricia and I continued our strategy session at the kitchen table. There's something else bothering me, I admitted. Jennifer mentioned that Andrew has given me money over the years and now I owe them. But that's not true. Andrew has given me birthday gifts, Christmas presents, but never significant sums of money. Patricia frowned. That's concerning. It suggests either Jennifer is lying to manipulate you or Andrew has been lying to Jennifer about where their money has been going. I should talk to some of our mutual friends, I said. Maybe they can shed light on what's been happening. Andrew has been so isolated lately. The next day I called Grace from the bank again. Without violating any confidentiality rules, she confirmed my suspicions. Estelle, I can't give specifics, but I've been worried about Andrew for months. The transactions I've seen, it's not good, and there are rumors they've been borrowing from friends too. My next call was to Michael Andrew's college roommate and longtime friend. To be honest, Estelle, Andrew borrowed $10,000 from me last year, he confessed. Said it was for an investment opportunity, but he needed it in cash. I've asked about repayment a few times, and he always says it's coming soon. Then Jennifer called me last month asking for another loan. I refused. Similar stories came from 3 other friends. All had lent money, none had been repaid, and all had been approached recently for more. Armed with this information, Patricia helped me prepare a civil complaint for assault and a petition for a restraining order. We also documented the pattern of financial behavior that made me concerned for my own security. The court date is set for next Thursday, Patricia informed me. The temporary restraining order will be in effect until then. Jennifer will be served with the papers tomorrow. True to Patricia's prediction, the retaliation began almost immediately after Jennifer received the legal documents. A barrage of text messages from different unknown numbers, clearly Jennifer using different phones, flooded in, ranging from tearful pleas to vicious threats. I forwarded each one to Patricia without responding. Then the social media campaign started. I rarely use Facebook, but friends started calling to tell me that Jennifer was posting publicly about her abusive, manipulative mother-in-law who had attacked her verbally and was now trying to destroy her marriage with false accusations. What hurt most was that Andrew remained silent through it all. No calls, no texts, not even an apology. Had I lost my son completely to this toxic relationship? The thought kept me awake at night staring at old photographs of the sweet boy who had once been my whole world. The day before the court hearing, my doorbell rang. I checked through the newly installed security camera to see Andrew standing alone on my porch looking haggard and defeated. Against my better judgment, I opened the door, keeping the security chain engaged. Andrew, I said, unable to keep the relief from my voice. Are you okay? No, he answered honestly. I'm not. Can I please come in? I'm alone. I swear. I verified that no one else was waiting in the car before letting him inside. The bruise on my cheek had faded to a sickly yellow-green, but Andrew winced visibly when he saw it. Mom, I can't tell you how sorry I am, he said, his voice breaking. What Jennifer did, it's unforgivable. Where is she now? I asked. At her friend's apartment. She doesn't know I'm here. He sank onto the couch looking utterly exhausted. She's been raging about the restraining order and the assault charge. Says you're making it all up to drive a wedge between us. And what do you believe? I asked quietly. He met my eyes for the first time. I saw what happened. I know the truth. I should have stopped her. I should have defended you. He buried his face in his hands. I've been such a coward, Mom. For years now. I sat beside him, not touching him, yet still wary. Why are you here, Andrew? To beg you to drop the charges, he said. Not for Jennifer's sake, but for mine. This public court battle, it will destroy what's left of my career prospects. Please, Mom. I felt a deep disappointment settle in my chest. So you're still choosing her? It's complicated, he mumbled. We're married. I made vows. Vows that don't include standing by while your wife assaults your mother, I pointed out. Andrew, I love you. I always will. But I need to protect myself now. She promised she'd get counseling. He tried. Anger management classes. She feels terrible about what happened. Does she? I asked skeptically. Is that why she's been sending me threatening texts and posting lies about me online? He looked genuinely surprised. What? No, she wouldn't. She promised me she'd leave you alone. I showed him my phone with dozens of menacing messages. His face crumpled as he scrolled through them. Oh, God, he whispered. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. For the first time, I reached out and took his hand. Andrew, listen to me. I'm not doing this to punish you, or even Jennifer. I'm doing it to establish boundaries that should never have been crossed. If Jennifer truly wants to change, facing consequences for her actions is the first step. Tears slid down his cheeks. I'm so lost, Mom. I don't know what to do anymore. I can help you, I said gently. Not with money, and not while Jennifer is in the picture. But I can pay for financial counseling. I can help you find therapy. I can support you emotionally while you rebuild your life. Your real life, not this facade that's crumbling around you. And if I'm not ready to leave her, he asked in a small voice. I squeezed his hand and then let go. Then I'll still love you from a distance with boundaries in place to protect myself. The choice is yours, Andrew. It always has been. He left without making any promises, but something had shifted in his eyes. A spark of the independent, thoughtful man I had raised was flickering back to life. Whether it would be strong enough to break free from Jennifer's control remained to be seen. The next morning, I dressed carefully for court in a conservative blue dress that had been my courtroom attire during my teaching years when called to testify about student issues. Patricia picked me up reviewing our strategy one last time. Remember, she said as we walked into the courthouse, just tell the truth simply and clearly. The evidence is on our side. I nodded, though my stomach was in knots. I had never been one for public confrontation, preferring to solve problems quietly and diplomatically. But sometimes standing up for yourself means standing in the spotlight, however uncomfortable it might be. As we entered the courtroom, I saw Jennifer immediately dressed in an inappropriately tight black dress, whispering furiously to her lawyer. And beside her, looking simultaneously out of place and resigned, sat Andrew. The proceeding began, and time seemed to both crawl and rush by. Patricia presented our case methodically. The photographs of my injury, the threatening text messages, the pattern of financial manipulation. I testified about the assault, my voice steadier than I expected. When it was Jennifer's turn, she painted a completely different picture, one where I was a controlling, jealous mother who had always undermined her relationship with Andrew, who had provoked her with insulting remarks, who had exaggerated a minor disagreement into an assault charge. It was barely a tap, she insisted, batting her eyelashes at the female judge who remained stone-faced. Estelle has always been dramatic, but her performance fell apart under cross-examination when Patricia produced the text messages. Did you or did you not write, and I quote, "You'll regret this, you interfering old hag"? Patricia asked. Jennifer squirmed. I was upset. She was trying to turn my husband against me. And this message sent yesterday, drop the charges or I'll make sure everyone knows what a vindictive bitch you really are. Jennifer's lawyer attempted to object, but the damage was done. The judge had seen enough. When Andrew was called to testify, I held my breath. Which version of my son would appear? The independent man I'd raised, or Jennifer's puppet? He approached the witness stand slowly. not making eye contact with either Jennifer or me. After being sworn in, he surprised us all. "I'd like to make a statement," he said quietly. The judge nodded. "Proceed, Mr. Thompson." Andrew took a deep breath. "My mother's testimony is completely accurate. Jennifer did assault her unprovoked. The injury was significant enough to draw blood. My mother asked us both to leave her house, which was her right. Jennifer has been sending threatening messages, and she has been lying to me about it." He finally looked up, meeting my eyes across the courtroom. "I am deeply ashamed that I didn't intervene to protect my mother and that I've allowed this situation to escalate to this point." Jennifer let out an outraged shriek. "You traitor! After everything I've done for you!" The judge banged her gavel. "Control yourself, Mrs. Thompson, or you'll be held in contempt." Jennifer subsided, glaring daggers at Andrew, who seemed to stand a little taller with each word. "Furthermore," he continued, "I want the court to know that my mother's concerns about financial exploitation were valid. I have been financially irresponsible partly due to pressure from my wife to maintain a lifestyle we couldn't afford. My mother was right to protect herself." The judge considered all the evidence and testimony before issuing her ruling. The restraining order was granted, barring Jennifer from coming within 500 feet of me, my home, or places I regularly visited like my church and community center. She was ordered to pay a fine for the assault and to cover my medical expenses for treating the cut. Most importantly, the judge issued a stern warning that any violation of the order would result in immediate arrest. As we left the courtroom, I saw Andrew standing alone in the hallway. Jennifer had stormed out with her lawyer as soon as the ruling was announced. "Thank you for telling the truth," I said simply. He nodded, his eyes, red-rimmed, but clearer than I'd seen them in years. It was the least I could do. Too little, too late, probably. "It's never too late to start doing the right thing," I told him. "She's furious," he said, glancing toward the exit where Jennifer had disappeared. "Says I betrayed her, that I chose you over her." "And what do you think?" I asked. He considered this for a long moment. "I think I finally chose the truth, and myself." He met my eyes squarely. "I have moved my things to a hotel. I told Jennifer I need space to think. I think it might be over between us." I wanted to hug him to tell him everything would be okay, but I knew the road ahead would be difficult. Recovery from financial disaster and emotional manipulation takes time. "One day at a time," I said instead. "And Andrew, my offer stands. I can help with counseling, with finding you support, when you're ready." He gave me a small, sad smile. "I'll call you tomorrow, Mom. I promise." As I watched him walk away, shoulders squared with new resolve, I felt the first glimmer of hope that my son might find his way back, not just to me, but to himself. 6 months have passed since that day in court, and so much has changed. My garden is blooming with spring flowers, and I'm sitting on my porch swing with a cup of tea, reflecting on the journey of healing that's unfolded. The first few weeks after the court hearing were the hardest. Despite the restraining order, Jennifer found ways to harass me indirectly. She convinced mutual acquaintances to call me with messages sent anonymous letters, and even tried to damage my reputation in the community by spreading rumors that I was mentally unstable and had fabricated the assault. But the truth has a way of prevailing. My friends and neighbors stood firmly by my side, especially after they saw the evidence Patricia had carefully documented. The local police took the restraining order seriously, increasing patrols past my house when I reported suspicious activity. And slowly, the harassment dwindled as Jennifer found her support network shrinking. Andrew called me the day after the hearing as promised, and we began the delicate process of rebuilding our relationship. At first, our conversations were brief and somewhat formal, both of us carefully avoiding certain topics. But gradually the natural ease between mother and son returned. He rented a small studio apartment across town, found a job at a smaller financial firm with a significant pay cut, and filed for legal separation from Jennifer. The hardest part for him wasn't the financial downsizing. It was facing the emotional manipulation he'd endured for years. With the help of a therapist specializing in emotional abuse, Andrew began to recognize patterns in his relationship with Jennifer that had slowly eroded his self-esteem and independence. "She always made me feel like I wasn't good enough," he confessed during one of our Sunday dinners, now a reinstated tradition. Like I had to keep proving my love with bigger purchases, more expensive gifts. When I tried to talk about budgeting, she'd accuse me of not trusting her or not loving her enough. That's how emotional manipulation works, I said gently. It targets your insecurities and twists your best qualities, like your generosity and loyalty, against you. He nodded, pushing food around his plate. The therapist says I have codependent tendencies, that I was trying to fix everything for her instead of setting healthy boundaries. You've always been a fixer, I agreed. Even as a little boy, you wanted to make everyone happy. Remember how you tried to tape your father's broken watch back together? That brought a small smile to his face. I was 5. I used an entire roll of Scotch tape. Harold wasn't angry. I remembered fondly. He said it showed character to try to fix something broken, but real wisdom to know when something can't be fixed. Andrew's eyes grew misty. I wish Dad was here. He would have seen through Jennifer from the beginning. Maybe, I said. But you had to come to that realization yourself. No one could do it for you. The financial recovery has been slower than the emotional one. Andrew's debts were even worse than he'd initially admitted. With the help of a financial counselor, he developed a 5-year plan to pay everything off, living on a strict budget in his modest apartment. He sold his luxury car, his designer watches, and anything else of value to make a dent in the debt. Jennifer, meanwhile, moved to Las Vegas shortly after the separation. According to mutual acquaintances, she's already dating a wealthy casino owner, flaunting a new lifestyle on social media. Andrew received divorce papers 3 months ago, along with demands for alimony that his lawyer quickly shut down given the documented financial misconduct. As for me, the experience has transformed my life in unexpected ways. After sharing my story with a friend who works at the senior center, I was invited to join a support group for older adults who have experienced financial exploitation or elder abuse. Listening to others with similar experiences helped me process my own trauma, and eventually I began facilitating meetings myself. Last month, I helped a 70-year-old man recognize that his new girlfriend was systematically draining his retirement accounts. The week before, I supported a woman whose adult daughter had stolen her identity and ruined her credit. Each story reinforced what I had learned through my own ordeal, that love does not mean sacrificing your boundaries or your security. The cut on my cheek healed quickly, leaving no scar. The emotional wounds took longer, but they too have healed, leaving me stronger and wiser. I've even started dating recently, a kind widower named James who I met at my book club. We take things slowly, and I'm much more attentive to red flags than I might have been before. Andrew comes for dinner every Sunday now. He's lost weight, gained some gray at his temples, but there's a steadiness in his eyes that was missing during his years with Jennifer. He's taking a financial literacy course at the community college and has started mentoring young people about responsible money management, turning his painful experience into wisdom he can share with others. Last week, he brought me a small potted rosebush for my garden. "What's the occasion?" I asked, as I found the perfect sunny spot to plant it. "No occasion," he said, helping me dig the hole. "Just a thank you for being strong enough to say no when I needed it most." I looked up at him, this man who had traveled through fire, and emerged tempered rather than destroyed. "I never stopped loving you, Andrew. Not for 1 second." "I know," he said simply. "That's what gave me the courage to finally love myself enough to leave. And that perhaps is the deepest lesson I've learned through all of this, that true love sometimes means setting hard boundaries even when it breaks your heart to do so. That enabling someone's destructive behavior isn't kindness, it's surrender. That standing firm in your own truth even when it's painful is the ultimate act of self-respect. I've learned that I'm stronger than I ever imagined, that it's never too late to stand up for yourself, and that the people who truly love you will respect your boundaries rather than try to demolish them. As I look at my garden today with new flowers blooming alongside the established ones, I'm reminded that growth often requires pruning away what no longer serves us. That sometimes the most beautiful gardens emerge after the harshest winters. Have you ever had to set a difficult boundary with someone you love? How did you find the strength to stand your ground? Share your story in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if it resonated with you. Remember, your boundaries are valid, and you deserve to be respected. Thank you for listening to my story, and may you find the courage to protect your own garden, whatever form it may take.